Hi, I'm Bill Connerly. I'm the outreach team leader here at Castine Church, and I'm here with Nate and Ivy Cheesman, who are working with the Wycliffe Bible translators in Thailand. You might know Ivy. She is a graduate of Franklin Monroe High School. Her father was Dr. Wayne Fisher, with the local eye doctor in Arcanum, I believe. So to start off with, how many years have you been working with Wycliffe, and what have you been doing there?
Well, we've been over in Thailand for about 9 years. Before that, we were with Wycliffe down in their headquarters in Florida. So I think you started there in 2003, and then I joined a couple years after that, where we met and got married.
Okay. As a Bible translators, what are your roles in Thailand?
So there's a team there that's trying to outreach to the unreached people groups in that area. There's a lot of languages that don't have the Bible. So some of the countries surrounding Thailand have very, heavy persecution against Christians. So Christians will come into the university where we're at and get training and then go back out and be translators. So our role is a support staff and to help those students as they make their time at the university.
Okay. With English being a common language, can you explain why the importance of translating, as you said to me, in 78 different languages?
Yeah, so with the translation, you want to make sure that people get the whole scriptures. So if you've met a friend and they knew English about 80%, you think, oh, they're pretty good, but if you give them a verse like John 3:16 and you subtract it out 20%, then the verse gets really rough. So for example, for God so the world that he gave his one and only son, that in him shall not but have life. So it's really rough. So that's like an example of somebody getting 80%, but you want people to understand the whole Bible.
So how many languages do you speak?
We only speak English and Thai and I guess some Spanish.
Okay.
We learned the local language so that we can get by, but the training's all done in English.
Okay.
Because different individuals are coming in and, you can't do training in all these different languages. So they have a very good English grasp by the time they come in, but that's something that we can help them with because they're taking a master's level program in English. It's not easy.
Okay. So you're more of a support personnel for these people, I guess? How would you define that?
Ivy explained it this way. So at college, you have the RA that kind of looks over the dorm and makes sure the students are kind of doing okay. It looks out for their spiritual and physical well-being. And so the students aren't living in our house, but we're in the neighborhood and we're kind of serve as kind of the older brother, older sister to kind of help them through that process.
How do you feel? Have you seen God working in your community there through what you're doing?
Well, one thing we're involved with is there's a Thai church in our community. When we first got there were about 5 believers meeting in that church, a very small group of people. And we ended up moving in right beside where the church is meeting. So they were basically out in our backyard. And we have seen God grow that church.
Okay.
Our pastor and his wife are very focused on discipleship. And that church now has about 40 to 60 individuals, mostly teenagers or young adults who are coming in. And we see God's word impacting those on an individual level. Are
these the same students that you're working with at the campus, or are these some other students that's coming in to fill into the church there neighborhood?
Yeah, these are local Thai students from the neighborhood. So you've got this sort of graduate group, and then you've got these kind of Thai teenagers.
Yeah. Some were 9 and 10 when we got there, and they've grown up in the church. And our pastor and his wife reached out to them, and now they're leading the church and making disciples. So it's really
so you're able to be part of that.
Yeah.
So, but how do you see God's working spiritually in your family while you're there?
I think we've learned a lot about discipleship through our pastor and his wife. Just as we see the way that they do ministry in our neighborhood, it helps us to have a different perspective on how we can do things through the Thai lens and be culturally sensitive. And I think as we see the Bible fresh through people's eyes who haven't read the Bible, and they're seeing the miracles of Jesus, and we take these things for granted, and then you realize how miraculous it is when people are hearing it for the first time.
So is there anything else you'd like to share with the church or anybody about your time there?
First of all, I would just want to say thank you. Castine has been a big part of what has happened over the last couple years. And I feel privileged because we get to go there and see it firsthand. But we can't do that on our own without people praying for us, encouraging us, supporting us financially. And Castine has been a part of that, and we're very grateful for that.
Well, and we're glad to support you. It's been a blessing for this church to have people like you that's willing to take that step. So how can people from our congregation connect with you in the future, prayerfully, financially, or any way to connect? How can they do that?
We have some prayer cards that we can get out. They can probably contact you to get those prayer cards, and just email us and let us know if they want our newsletters. We send out a newsletter every month or two, just what's going on in our lives in our church or their church in Thailand, and ways that we can use prayer.
Well, we at Castine are glad to support you, and we really feel privileged for what you're doing for God's work in the world, and we thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.